So this is now from the Blackboard style talking. We're really going to just do a little bit of technology kind of things to prepare us for the tutorial. So this will be all technology. So I would like to have some help handing out some memory sticks. There should be just about enough for one for each of you. Okay. Whoop. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, really? No, really?
Yes.
How would we know? It says, wait, before you hand them out. Before you hand them out. Okay, Hero, you're in charge of handing them out. Some of them are for... I thought they were identical. Okay.
Okay, I have Mac and Windows. Does it have Linux? The one here is
It's all the tutorials. Yeah. It says on the bottom of the box. These are Mac and Unix. Oh, shoot, they were different. I don't know why they did that. You can figure it out. Okay, everyone. So you can figure it out by plugging it into your computer. Okay. So you can figure it out by plugging it into your computer, and if it doesn't work, then you can trade off with someone else. So the idea is, what we found from past experience, I know there's a lot, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. So what we're doing here is we have Bill needs a stick. Not a hockey stick. So what we're doing here, I'm assuming I can get this to work. That'll be exciting. Let's see. Let me mirror displays first. So what we okay, so the idea here is that in the past we've learned over time that we have some tutorials that involve actually doing computation, and so one of the things that involves is getting some code and putting it on your computer, some input files, and then we'll walk you through them. And so for things especially like the mantle convection tutorial and the geodynamo tutorial, there's it takes some time to do that. And so each of you, as you already have found, one of the barriers here is that each person has a different computer. You have a different operating system. You may have a different architecture and so on. And so what we don't want to do is spend tutorial time basically figuring out how to run the code on your personal computer and as opposed to someone else's. And so we're using a technique instead called, we're going to use what's called a virtual machine. Basically what we're doing is installing, what I want you to do is copy everything that's on that stick onto your computer. So I suggest making a folder on your computer that's called CIDER tutorials. Just drag everything over there. It might take a few minutes because it's like 2 gigabytes worth of stuff. All this stuff is also on the web, but I don't want you to try and, if all of us try and go online and download 2 gigabytes of material over the wireless internet, it won't be pretty. So that's why we're doing this. So that will have all the materials you want. Then there is on the stick. Okay, hang on one sec while I figure out how to mirror this. So you can start doing that. There we go. Okay. It might be 5 gigs of stuff. It's possible that there's 5 gigs of stuff. Okay, so it should look something like this, what's on there. And so at the bottom here are 2 files, a DMG and an EXE file for, depending on whether you have a Mac or a Windows machine. So you should know which one you have. And I want you to, once you've copied this to your directory, I want you to launch the appropriate one. And so I actually deleted the VirtualBox from my computer so I can just walk through this and hopefully succeed in reinstalling it while we do this together. Okay, so we're going to get something like this. So for starters, has everybody managed to copy everything, or are you still waiting? Okay, so while we're waiting for everybody to finish copying, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about this. So essentially what we're doing is creating a computer emulator on your computer. So this is an application that's going to create a pretend computer on your computer, and on that pretend computer is a bunch of tutorials that are all compiled and ready to go. And so the idea is that you'll be running this machine within a machine, and so it's called a virtual machine. And that virtual machine is going to be running an operating system called Linux. So have any of you, how many people have interacted with Linux or Unix in any way, shape, or form? Oh, that's good. Many of you have. However, several of you have not. And so what I'm going to ask is that as we go forward, those of you who have are going to have to help out the people who have not. And so that's going to make things work a little better. So we're going to be basically today we're only going to get as far as installing the VirtualBox, launching the VirtualBox, and kind of looking around. And then when the tutorials get to this point, then we'll start to actually use the things on the VirtualBox. So we're going to do that. And one of the reasons we're doing this, actually, one of the things I wanted to point out is that your computer today, and this is actually relevant for the projects, your computer today is probably about equivalent to the supercomputers, the largest computer that was available about 20 years before your computer was made. Okay, so my computer, which is a MacBook Pro, this computer right here, is equivalent to the #1 system in the world, which was at Los Alamos in June of 1993. Okay, so that computer has the power of this, beautiful giant, and this has got like a picture on the top 500 computers of the world. That's what that looked like. Shiny and all it had a special raised floor because it had special cooling and power and so on. But it's essentially ran at the same speed and the same equivalent power of this. So that's sort of an interesting thing, because what that means is that you can easily now do the kinds of models that were, publishable, cutting-edge science in the mid-90s. And you may think, well, that was the mid-90s, so who cares? But in fact, because it was very difficult to get access to this kind of computer in the mid-90s, and the cycles were very expensive and very precious, what the science tended to do is do the models that were cutting edge and then move on, right? And so there's actually a lot of science left to be done that you can do on your desktop now that couldn't really be done, couldn't really be accomplished in 10, 15 years ago. So that's something to keep in mind when you're starting to look at projects for the second 2 weeks. Okay, so while I was talking, has everybody managed to successfully copy this? Not quite. It does take a little while. So I'll just talk. Sorry? I could just start. Keep going. Oh, the wiki. Would you like me to do that? To the extent that I know. Meanwhile, do you mind a little divergence to the question of the wiki and how to edit it? Okay. I'm no expert on this. I'm hoping that there are experts in the room who are enthusiastic editors of Wikipedia. But I wanted to mention, so some of you instructors in particular are trying to upload your slides and put them on the wiki and maybe having trouble doing that. You may have uploaded your slides and then you can't figure out where they are. So the key thing is that there are 2 steps. When you upload your file, it's going on to the server that's running this wiki. It's going on to the CIDER server. It's somewhere in there on those disks. but that doesn't mean that there's a link to it from anywhere. So you can upload your file, and then the second step is for you to edit the web page to provide a link to your file so that the rest of us can see it. Does that make sense?
The better way is to first provide a link.
Yeah, that's true.
In this program.
Right.
By your presentation.
Right.
And then save it.
Ah.
And then the next time, when you save it, you will see appear your file in red.
Right.
So you click on it.
So for example here's Bill White's slides, and it goes to nowhere, except it goes to this upload.
My
And
slides are somewhere.
once you uploaded them, you can do this again. You can upload this from here, and they'll be attached.
No, I've tried it from
You've tried it from there?
It's just,
I think you have to edit.
Yes, you have to. You have to edit this website.
Are you logged in?
I should be logged in. I was logging. Yeah, there we go.
So you go to edit.
Yeah, so you go to edit. That's what I mean. You go to edit. Then you get something like this.
Yeah, and so here you see, for example, red letters.
Yeah, it's so big because it's.
So, for example, let's look at download media.
Right.
So this is where you put
So that's where that XXX is. You put the name of your file name.
and then you save,
Mm-hmm.
and then
just put the name of the file.
The full name of the file. It's better if it doesn't have any spaces or parentheses or dollar signs or anything like that. But if it does have spaces, put an underscore where the space is, and life will be happier. Everybody will be happier.
and then you save. There is a save.
And
button.
all the way down at the bottom. Yeah, I know. There's a lot on here. All the way down on the bottom, there's a save
Save page.
Okay. Okay.
And then when you do that,
Save page, right, save page.
And then it'll be saved.
it will be saved and it will appear in red.
Mm-hmm. It should appear.
Click on that. You can
But he's already uploaded.
then
So he can put the file name in there. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes, thank you for that. So, okay, has everybody managed to copy things now? No. Okay. Yes. So the OVA file is the virtual machine for CIDER. So there's an application. The virtual machine application is what we're copying over and installing now, and then that is the virtual machine for CIDER. So. Yours finished. This is always a question. Should we go ahead? I'm.
Done copying. Wow.
Okay.
Who is not done copying?
It's a handful.
Just tell us what you are.
Yeah. So in the meantime, there's a README on here that tells you what's going to happen. It tells you what's on there. So the OVA is the Open Virtualization Format Archive, and that's basically got everything in this. So let's just walk through the steps, and then we'll do the steps. So the first thing is we're going to install the VirtualBox, and that's basically going to involve double-clicking on those things. And then we will import that OVA file, and then we will basically be good to go. We're also going to create a means. So basically you've got this one computer, this virtual computer on your computer. So we're going to create a folder that's shared between your computer and the virtual computer so that you can copy things back and forth kind of easily. So that's basically, those are the three things that we're going to do. And then and eventually it's going to look like this for you. Okay. Is it okay with everybody if I move on forward? Okay. Where did it go? Okay. Okay. So when you double click on the VirtualBox, you should get this thing. And so what I want you to do now is install this. Okay. And it's going to take up a bunch of space. It'll take a couple minutes to do this. It'll look differently on a Windows machine, but it'll. There you go. It'll take. So, when you've gotten to this point, just kind of briefly raise your hand. Okay. We'll give people another minute or two. What's wrong? Something went awry? No, you're there. You're there. No, you're there.
I got an installation failure.
Oh, no. No. Oh, I don't know what to do about that. Installation failure. Installer encountered an error. Oh, geez. Yeah, let's try again.
Anxiety's high.
Yeah, I know. That's a high stress situation. How's everybody doing? Yes. Done? Is that how many people have gotten to that point where it said installation? I'm going to be. Yes, it's very. You have to have the OVA on your disk. Yeah, you can keep running it from the. Yeah, if you don't have room on your disk, you can keep running from there. So you should now be able to run. Once you get to that point, you should be able to run the Virtualbox from your disk, and you can do that by double-clicking on the OVA file, or you can launch the Virtualbox application and then open the OVA file. Yes. Yes, that is important. Yes, thank you. Okay. Yes. So there's a bunch of settings here, and the recommendation is that you use all. So if you know how many CPUs you have, you use all the CPUs. There's some defaults here, and that you use about half of your memory. You allocate half of your memory to this. It's not doing anything?
It's been this way for a while.
That's interesting. I'm trying closing that and see what happens.
Canceling. That way.
Okay. So we have a couple of people over here who are having some trouble, and we have a couple of people in the room who are more or less experts. And I'd like to match up some of the people who have done this before. Like Hiro has done this before, and Katrina has done this before. So has Ian, and so has Timo. And so if you're running into like trouble, as opposed to just waiting, could you raise your hand if you're running into trouble, like you got an error message or something weird happened? Okay. So if one of the experts who's done this before, someone who's done this before, thank you. Okay. Yes. Well, I think the virtual machine is, yeah, right.
And you copy over the thing that is 5 gigs big.
Yeah, 20 gigs. Mm-hmm.
But then you can delete the OVA file after it's imported.
Yeah, right. After you've imported it, you can delete it. I think you can leave it on the memory stick. It might be it'll install the application in the applications folder. But I think you can run, think of this as being like an application like Word or something like that, and then you have a document, and the OVA is the document. So it's, yes. There's a file called something .ova.
It's in the, so when I come here, I bring up the report.
Yeah.
Then I go to like, in the file. Okay, I will try to find it.
So I just double-clicked on the OVA and it worked. So you can just start with the OVA. Just double-click on. It is the virtual machine. Mm-hmm. Go into the, yeah.
Or you open Virtualbox and say,